once he's done his usual kicking off, like I said to everyone, and knew to get there. He was having withdrawal symptoms, so I'm throwing a wobbler at me because he'd not done it for long enough. I knew that, and I told people, and let's see if he can hand it over Christmas, because I can tell that he's brewing and he wants it, but let's see if he can discipline himself and sit on his hands, because he'd rather wait till I get on holiday and then try and ruin my holiday. Yeah, it's normal.
Oh, is this your dad?
Yeah.
Sounds
So,
like
and I'm saying this to Sarah Krugday, and my friend Michael Wood, and I go back on Christmas, New Year. I can see he's chomping at the bit though. He was struggling, but he really wants to wait to Tenerife. Obviously, after 40 years or whatever of it, I can read him like a book. So. Anyway, I get back from Tenerife. First thing Wardy said was, "Did your old man behave himself?" I said, "No." First day. Second, did your dad? I said, "First day." You said, didn't you? Yes, I did. At the time, my mum goes, "Oh no, it wasn't. It's not you." Because I've been at him all day because it's been driving me mad. So I've been. It wasn't that, if Mum genuinely believed that it couldn't possibly be it, and he stormed out of a restaurant and he got up and stormed off. And I said, "No, it is me, Mum." I said, she tried to convince me that I was wrong, and then the next morning it turned out, no, it was me, but we but how could it possibly be? You haven't done anything. Well, of course I haven't. I never did. But I used to look for a trigger to use. But it could be anything, and it would take me by surprise. But then I kind of got used to it. Here we go again. Yeah, but then I thought, what's the point? Because it was fake anyway. So he doesn't need a trigger anymore.
But the best bit was when the scouts got him dancing dancing to that. His song, the scouts get him dancing like a puppet.
Well, he did showed himself up
Daddy cool apparently.
Because Irene has noticed them behaviour, and Irene comes up to me and she goes, "He wants up with your dad, like." So I told her.
And they were all like going, "Yeah, go on, yeah, the dad.
Well, my mum actually sorted him out, apparently, because Shirley said what she said to her. Because if he doesn't fucking snap out of it, I'm divorcing him. Apparently she said that to
Daddy cool?
No, it's Daddy cool, yeah. Because if he's going to behave like that towards me when I've done nothing, and he's out more, she goes, "That is it." And I think she pointed out that it had not gone unobserved, his behaviour.
Well, yeah.
And how many people... Giles is down there now in the bar, and all those people are his friends.
And we've all seen it.
I know. Is he going to keep quiet? When Irene asked, "What's up with your dad?"
More than red-handedness.
Yeah. So then...
There's a state above red-handedness.
He's never sorry, because he's never done anything wrong. So he just pretends nothing's happened.
What is it?
I was sitting outside with Irene. He's come down, "Oh look, here comes Father to buy me a brandy." That's the
situational, positional, total red-handedness.
So Irene watches his every move.
It's well beyond that.
Well, she was doing that anyway. It turns out,
Too universal.
She doesn't miss a trick.
I just saw a fucking V8 Vitesse.
Yeah. It was only about was it
on TV
3 years ago. Irene goes, "That's different with you this year. He's actually interacting with you like you're like a human being."
1980 British
Because up until now he was always like this. Now he's actually talking.
That's what you want to see.
See, I hadn't noticed that.
By 1980,
fucking
I'll
good
never
old
let my guard
Rover.
down. Because he kicked off me on today. This last
6, why not?
This last point just gone.
We were just there. It is.
a total of 150.
But I didn't. I took.
It was
I was in the bathroom. He was banging on the door because
it wasn't that good, really.
apparently we were late, but I didn't know that, and I was well. If I acknowledged him, he'd be holding me up, and I was so he's there. So I eventually opened the fucking door, and I told him, "Fuck off out of my
a bit of a word salad because he didn't have a roll of a test when he was younger. What car did you have when you were younger? What car did you have? It was still good though. What when you were younger?
Yeah, well, we had
parents.
the first car I had was a yellow Skoda, which apparently was a good car, so we had to get a new one, but it was got a red one. Only the red one
was yellow.
Yeah, no, that replaced the other one. It was a good one.
Repainted it.
No, but he bought a new one of the same model, thinking it'd be better.
Oh,
But
right,
it was not. There was the lack of quality control from behind there. It was shit.
Colour.
He used to conk out in the driveway and everything. That was the car that broke down in
That's
Bristol.
standard 2000.
That was
I'm
the car
still
that broke down
listening
in
to him, by
Bristol on
the
the
way.
way
I'm
back
not
from
ignoring
France, so I don't like Bristol and all that.
I'm
So,
going to listen and talk at the same time.
yeah, so he replaced that with
listen to
Austin
Steve.
Maxi, the maroon Maxi.
No way. It was pretty shit as well.
But it's chrome stuff.
Won't
And the
rust it.
evil vinyl seats that killed your legs in the
Definitely.
summer and killed your legs in the winter.
Fuck, talk about trap.
Well,
You get fucking
you can get in that
fine
car
trap
without
on them.
screaming anytime
Don't
you
get into that car wearing fucking
short school,
yeah, short,
the
so
school
your
run,
Liverpool costume.
or if we've been
Football
at
costume.
or
Costume.
a national trust
Nylon.
like Erdig or something in the summer,
In the summertime.
and in the belting sun after this.
Roasting.
And I expect me to get in there and sit.
I know, yeah.
Get in, stop being stupid.
About 110 degrees on
It's
the...
complete. I'd have been bloody melted to the sea.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Growing up in the 70s, yeah. I'll see you soon with another one of these great videos about 70s cars. Let's work this now. I'm watching 70s videos tonight. Yeah, we've come to the conclusion, me and Giles, that cars are going to be revamped into the characteristics for the 70s cars, British cars. Fucking absolutely brilliant, right? And they will be electric.
It'd be nice if they were like
But
aesthetically pleasing.
aesthetically pleasing and the character. But the best bit about it, they'll have sound systems in them for feedback, for the actual sound of the original car made, or any other car. So, you know, it come with the standard sound settings for the car and a volume for in and out. You can have feedback monitors inside as well as your music and shit. But, you know, if you put the music aside for one moment, it's about the purr and about the rum and the fucking sound of it. And but yes,
A very personal car for me because my dad had one of these. They were
getting out.
terribly
Mirrors me.
hold up when they were new and launched in 1976.
My dad had one.
Started being available during 1977, 78.
I don't know about that
waiting
waiting
list
list.
for them. And my dad had one, and
Fucking
it was a
hell,
great
fucking hell.
car, but unfortunately everything else was very much against it. It was a bit like a talented child being born into a dysfunctional family.
I love that bit.
British Leyland at the time was in a truly parlous state in the mid to late 70s.
That is
You had
one
trade
next
union leaders who
level
were
car.
intransigent. They couldn't see anything but their own agenda. Same with management. There
Really
was so much
focused on a good
infighting and
car.
politics going on that
They
the
thought,
car
fuck the
didn't really
politics.
stand a chance.
Let's make a
And that's
decent
a
car.
tragedy. And in fact, it got so bad that eventually, as we know,
Talking about politics.
Rover and the British motor industry largely has either now ceased to exist or fallen into foreign hands. And that's because they couldn't see beyond the end of their
Couldn't keep
noses
that.
more
Well,
often.
once they made that, I thought we can't get any better now.
But this car is possibly the best example of a very, very good car being born into that. Jaguar made some fabulous cars during the 70s. They were world beaters in their own way.
We'll be it.
The styling is very blatantly based on the Ferrari Daytona, which is hardly a bad thing in a way because the
Not
Daytona
bad
is
start.
such a beautiful
Not
car.
bad start.
But it's got these sort of wedge-shaped lights here around
Like
the
that.
corner, wrap around.
And that
which
bit,
is
that
almost
grill bit
exactly
really made it look a bit
like
like
Daytona.
car from
And it's also
Lifeline.
got this groove that runs along the sides, also exactly like the Daytona. And this was
And it
based on
fucking
a
hell.
blood trough in
Blood
a dagger,
trough.
would you believe? That's what
Shit
it's
off.
commonly known as. Without getting too technical, when a dagger's inserted, it allows the flow of blood out
He
of it.
knows what he's on about.
But that's where it came from.
Fuck yeah, that's
And
amazing.
Anturio used it as a styling feature on the Daytona and also
That is a
the
nice rear end.
Series 365 and Rover lost it for the V8. But this car is a
I know
wonderful
someone who
car,
banged a car
and
once.
The history of
I actually
the
know
Daytona is
someone. I
fascinating
never
in its
banged
own way. It's
a car.
perhaps the most successful
I
marriage
do,
of American cubic
I have
inches,
knowledge of a friend of mine, I'm not going to name
and
any name.
European everything else, really.
Years and years ago.
Jensen did it with the Interceptor,
actually.
Gordon Keeble did it, Iso did it in Italy, De Tomaso
Had a
did it, they
relationship
all brought
with
in
a car
American
one night.
firepower.
And he felt the
their
same.
cars.
Not me.
But the engine,
I'm not talking
like the
about
best
myself.
things in
Saying
life,
someone
it
else.
sort of happened by accident,
course.
really. William Martin Hurst, who was the managing director of Rover in 1962, took a trip over to Wisconsin.
Let's be commenting on all this, alright? So yeah, that's where it's going to go. 70s cars, electric engines, but with feedback monitors for the sound of the engine, and purely for novelty, and secondly for safety purposes, because people can hear you coming. Yeah. So mostly for the novelty factor, but as the also added benefit of making the car audibly apparent within the sphere of sense and recognition of what's around another person, because those things are too quiet. Night time, especially now, you know, while it's locked down, lifting down it. But why do they make them more quiet than milk floats? Milk floats make more of a noise. Perhaps you can get in a milk float setting on the car to make it sound like a milk float, because you can hear a milk float. You can't hear that.
So this engine, because it was only 215
but yeah, that's just going to go like, we can have sound systems inside, monitor feedback systems, and depending on how exuberant you wish to blast the sound of that particular engine, depending on the amount of money you've got, of course, or you might have to be bothered, it'll have to have, as standard, a monitor outside, well, a monitor inside and a speaker outside to emulate the sound of the engine. And of course, you can flick through different sounds, you know, anything you want. Download new sound bites for the car. But they're all based on these 70s models and 60s, you know, the classics with character like that. You know, fucking cruiser. I'm not talking about the Vitesse.
The history of this car is it was launched in
I saw one of them,
production ceased
a
in
wagon
96,
version,
had a 10-year
in
production
stage,
run with a facelift in
stage wagon
1992.
version.
It's very unusual in the fact that it had
I was going to be crude then, but I did remark upon the fact that I'd never seen one of them before.
They weren't used in Jaguar. Were doing the touring cars with the bronze XJCs, the big cats as they were called.
That's not
got in the background here.
Big cats.
And because of all the infighting and posturing, the SD1 wasn't allowed to get a look in, and they were selling all they wanted. So they were waiting list for them. Fast forward to the late 80s, the SD1 is beginning to wane sort of interest-wise for the public. So they started using it in competition. Tom Walkinshaw, people like that started converting them.
I bet if I can rag them.
And they were phenomenally successful. They won prizes year in, year out during the mid to late 80s. And the Vitesse, it was sort of the basis of that. It used a 190 brake horsepower version of the V8 engine with sequential fuel injection.
Look
and
at
Lucas
that.
System, very cobbled together, very just about really, and no more in a lot of ways, sort of electrically and engineering wise, partly the technology of the time, partly budget requirements, and then to give them a final hurrah and to keep them competitive, they brought out a different inlet system for the top of the engine in the middle of the V, and it was called the twin plenum, which is a slight
I didn't know about this bit.
because it's actually twin throttles. But they made 500 of them, which was the basic requirement for to homologate them.
I don't know what we had was pretty fucking top end and all that one.
Car, so Rover could disable.
And then the second one was even more.
So we want to use them on the
Top
track.
end was mad.
And very few of them survive now, the twin plenum Vitesses.
I saw a lot, but they were well into their cars.
Very high
My dad
attrition rate due to
and his friend.
accident damage, just things falling apart because of the lovely build quality. And this is a rare survivor.
They were built like fucking shit-house stoves.
But it's a great car. This engine, I believe, has actually had some
Yeah, it's a good car.
The beauty of the twin plenum setup is that Rover stuck to the original
Get it in
190
then.
brake horsepower
Yeah.
power figure, but in reality they developed more. But Rover didn't redisclose that, as a lot of car manufacturers did in the 60s, because they didn't want to have to recertify the engine emissions wise and all the rest of it. So they kept it the same. But in truth, the twin plenum cars normally from the factory developed an extra 10, 20, 30 brake horsepower as a standard. This engine has been reworked. It's actually really, really responsive, this engine. It's got a sports exhaust on it, and it's got a remapped injection system. And probably, I suspect, from the way it's picking up on the throttle response, possibly a light flywheel and a sports camshaft. But
Kind of
this car
fucking.
goes, and it
You can
sounds
bet your
great.
bottom dollar on
What
that.
we've
It's
done
got that
to the car
fucking flywheel
is
thing
done
on
some
it.
work on the injection
I
system.
know.
It had an intermittent running fault
Yeah,
that
my
we
dad.
sorted out.
Hold on.
We've replaced the two plastic intake pipes on the induction system. We've given the car a good tidy up. We've had the wooden dashboard inserts repaired, and thanks to Jed and the team at GDK Veneering for that, they've done a super job. And just given the car a bit of a birthday, and it's a lovely trip down memory lane to have this car here and to drive it. It was described in period as a poor man's Aston Martin V8. I sort of get that. Strangely enough, particularly with this engine, the power to weight ratio is a light car actually.
The one wheel was like
It's not too different to an Aston Martin V8. So
golden velour, very fine.
Crack
Low,
140 miles an hour.
call it.
Doesn't sound all that fantastic now, but in the 1980s
low
that
pile.
was quite respectable.
Almost like
So we're just going to take the car out for a run, finish sorting the injection out, and hopefully it's performing really well.
So listen to this now.
Well, here we are on the road. This is a manual Vitesse. They did actually sell them as automatics. In fact, I used to service one for a customer in the 1980s, and it was a very good car with the automatic gearbox. But this gearbox was actually specially built for the Rover SD1 originally. It's called the 77mm
Okay, what's that cyclist?
That was because the difference between the main shaft and the lay shaft and the first motion shaft was 77mm between centres. And that normally, the bigger that dimension normally the gearbox generalising very drastically. But
give it a bit of way around that corner, will you? This is the type of car when you actually speed up when you go around corners. What you want to do anyway.
The gear lever is almost on top of the gearbox.
And you hit the corner and you give it a good bit of welly to fucking get it around.
So it gives a really lovely, precise gear change.
That's it.
Well, it's warmed through now.
Warmed up, boy.
The gauge is not working, which is
fuel gauge not working.
Good old British Leyland wiring from the 1980s. It was working, and I know the
don't worry about the fuel.
temperature's fine.
I'm so worried. You see the fucking fuel gauge go down.
Let's just open
As
it
you
up
put your foot down.
and see what sort of power delivery we have.
Come on.
Oh yes.
You have that. You have that. He knows it.
Very nice.
Fucking nice, son.
Yeah, not a lot wrong with that. Sounds great, pulling like a train. It's got loads of torque.
Fuck off. Yeah, Vince. Watch out for the bike. He's gonna hit that corner now about fucking 70.
Yeah, one of the reasons for this car's major success in competition
Because you can rag it around corners like that.
different qualities of this car. And when I said earlier it was like a talented child.
That's the fake speed, Al. I was 120. 120.
The car has got talent because the body shell was structurally remarkably stiff for a car of its era. Which meant that when you put stiffer suspension on it and put it on a race track or on a rally stage, the car
bomb it round corners like a nutter.
It handled really well considering the size of it. And that engine, that V8 engine, is so tunable, and this is fairly mild.
This is well tuned to one.
I reckon in the real world this is probably producing thick end of 230, 240 brake horsepower.
That's the thick end
there. It's more than enough to propel this car along with real gusto. Just try it again.
Go on. Hit that corner about 80 then.
No shortage of performance there.
Bit of a bridge.
What a great... It's just got bags of character, this car.
Fucking bags.
That's the only way I can put it. It's just got loads of
I've been doing the extra commentary on the dialogue on the
it's not a sort
Rover
of
V8.
just a
the way he bombs out the corners, I love it.
Even in period, it was
Fucking
built
nice.
as an entertaining car. It's very spacious, very comfortable. The seats are really comfy to sit in, but it has got that lovely.
Can't say a bad word about it, can he?
No.
I mean, this V8 engine has got so much going for it. It was relatively cheap to manufacture for an alloy blocked engine.
Alloy block,
it
yeah.
was small. It was barely longer than the 4-cylinder Rover engine that they were desperate to update.
Oh, this dragon. I
very tunable.
got brought up with this dragon.
Remarkably economical, all things considered. And,
well, it's mostly engine based and tuned it.
It was an absolute win-win-win.
It's quite more like we'd put a G at the end, put a G beginning of win-win. with that.
Was originally in 1970 intended to have a 4-cylinder engine, the Rover unit. And when they discovered this gem in the mid-1960s, that was it. The Range Rover had it from the word go. One of the
Yeah, my friend Giles is on his way out now. He's taking care and getting on his way. He's got his mask. Yeah. So, but I'm going to carry on with the night, narrating on this fucking car. Check how we have that. Come and see you out now, yeah? But check that. He knows it. That's a corner. Taking that corner there. Fuck off. No, that's riding.